Devil May Cry 5 delivers exactly what's been expected of this franchise since it debuted back in 2001, with over-the-top action and ridiculous boss fights. This latest installment doesn't diverge from the series formula, instead builds or slightly modifies the mechanics that series veterans know and love, while also giving newcomers a slightly helping hand. Devil May Cry 5 is a rocking good time that will keep you coming back for more demon hunting for months to come. Hello everyone, my name is Adam, and these are my unpopular opinions for Devil May Cry 5. Devil May Cry 5 has players in control of Nero, Dante, and newcomer V. A mighty demon by the name of Yurzin has taken over Redgrave City and is gathering human blood to increase its own power. Each of the characters within the narrative have their own reason for stopping the demon, such as Nero losing his devil arm. Each character's motivation is made apparent as you journey through the character's story, some of which dedicated fans may be able to predict as they go along. However, the writing team seemed to predict this would happen and added some shocking hidden secrets to keep even the most dedicated fans on their toes. The narrative does jump between different periods of time, but it's always effectively communicated to the player where the events are happening within the overall timeline, indicated through the loading screens. The story has been written to accommodate fans of the series, and those who are just hopping into Devil May Cry 5 will need to do some research to fully understand what exactly is happening. Fortunately, the developers did include a general history of Devil May Cry within the game, so that does give you an overall summary of what is happening, but you'll still have to do some fine research in order to understand specific details. The narrative is overall well paced, but does stumble a few times. Most significantly, it glosses over a very significant detail about a specific character that is never mentioned. For the sake of spoilers, I cannot say what it is, but the community picked up on this pretty easily and now are debating it on various social media platforms. Since it has been confirmed that no DLC content will be released for Devil May Cry 5, but instead only the challenge mode Bloody Palace, these will go unanswered into the next game, which might take a while considering how long it took Devil May Cry 5 to launch. Gameplay does remain true to the original formula with slight changes. Dante and Nero play mostly the same as their Devil May Cry 4 versions, with slight modifications. Nero lost his arm and must instead rely on disposable forearms called Devil Bringers, provided by his weapon maker Nico. These arms can be purchased or found in the environment and offer the young Devil Hunter new options for combat. Each arm has distinct functions and two unique attacks. Each arm can perform a single function with the tap of a button, and charged up for an option that does a significantly more powerful version of that attack. Since Nero cannot swap arms on the fly, the only way to remove the arm is either to destroy it through a charging system or to block a lethal attack. Nero also comes with his classic Red Queen sword that can be charged up to 3 times, and his Blue Rose gun that can now hold 3 charges instead of the one from the original Devil May Cry 4. Dante is slightly stronger than Nero, so he can't use the Exceed ability that Nero does in order to boost his attacks, but he has access to more weapons and methods. The styles include Trickster, Swordmaster, Gunslinger, and of course Royal Guard, each of which have to be manually switched out to access those unique moves linked to that style. Dante can swap between weapons and guns very easily, opening up a lot more combo options compared to Nero and V, who cannot obtain new weapons and other accessories that Dante has access to. Dante does play a lot more nimble than Nero, but Nero is definitely better for beginners. But you're going to have to master all the characters if you hope to get through this entire adventure. V is a brand new character and plays fundamentally different from Dante and Nero. Unlike the other Devil Hunters, V uses 3 demonic allies known as familiars to fight for him. The Griffin uses projectiles, the Panther named Shadow is a close-range physical fighter, and Nightmare can only be accessed through the Devil Trigger and uses a high-powered laser and powerful fist to attack. V cannot attack and lacks the maneuverability of Dante and Nero, but must inflict the final attack on his demonic enemies since the familiars cannot kill demons. This doesn't mean you can just stand back and allow your AIs to fight on your behalf. V must play a direct role in combat. Players must input commands for the familiars to attack and remain close to recover their health, as if a familiar does die, V must remain close to revive his fallen ally, which appears like an orb on the field. It does take a lot of getting used to since you're relying on an AI essentially to attack, but they don't always perform the strikes that you want, and this can lead to a lot of minor issues that force the player to adapt to this new system. This, however, doesn't become a constant frustration as the player quickly adapts to these systems. I was able to adapt to V's combat style quite easily, and he was actually a lot of fun and addicting. At times, using the AI to attack on my behalf and just completely rip demons apart was absolutely thrilling. Of course, because he's very weak, getting one single hit could mean death, so you always have to keep that in mind. But I like the distinct style they had for each of the characters, especially with V. Just like past games, Devil May Cry 5 does offer a variety of challenging modes similar to past games that change up the enemy rotation and offer much more powerful versions of weaker demons. In harder difficulties, the enemies are a lot different and can offer a lot more difficult experiences, especially for less experienced gamers. However, the developers have also included an auto assist option for players who want to perform those intricate combos but are having trouble, and the ability to map the controls to anything you want, which is very difficult, and I'm surprised Capcom went the extra mile to do this. It's very welcomed, and I hope more developers do this. Of course, Devil May Cry's animation has been dramatically improved from previous games. The protagonists all move with more realistic movements, with a sense of momentum in both their swings and dodges. In fact, evading damage has been slightly changed to accommodate this new style, with the characters evading and dodging enemy attacks using slight dashes instead of giant rolls. Of course, you can use the giant rolls or the giant leaps if you wish. This keeps you invested in combat as it looks and feels like a cinematic experience, especially in one-on-one boss fights with the camera behind you at all times. It's absolutely brilliantly crafted. Another thing that Devil May Cry has always done right is the enemy variety, and in Devil May Cry 5, the creative and challenging bosses that you will encounter in this game are absolutely amazing. Players will face a constant stream of new enemies throughout the adventure, each requiring specific techniques to defeat. But the game is forgiving enough that players are encouraged to try out different combos available to them to increase their score. The bosses in particular are specifically challenging, especially if you wish to maximize your score, since they're much more challenging and unpredictable than the regular enemies. Having very distinct attacks all the time can be quite a challenge. The scoring system is the same as past games, with a player given a rating based on their performance during and after a mission. This system favors creativity, as your score will only rise if you constantly switch up attacks and tactics. The game's experience system is linked to the red orb system, which does offer you an array of options for skills, talents, items, all to increase your survivability. The only option is that if you don't have enough orbs to purchase the specific item, the game constantly reminds you of the microtransaction system. Currently, you can purchase 100,000 orbs for $2, but it's extremely confusing why the system is in the game. In addition, you can use red orbs in order to revive yourself if you've been defeated right there at that specific point. The amount of red orbs needed to recover your health ranges between one of three options, with each option increasing the amount of red orbs you need and how much health and devil trigger you recover. Each time you use that specific option, it raises in price. And of course, since you could just purchase red orbs, you can keep doing it, which I find incredibly cheap. For someone who actually wants to play the game and get through the harder mode, seeing that someone could just buy their way to victory just values the amount of accomplishment one can have for beating the game on Son of Sparta or Dante Must Die. The Devil May Cry iconic Devil Trigger system has slightly been changed. The system usually served as a last resort to either recover health or perform highly powerful attacks. While the transformation still gives you an offensive boost, the amount of health you recover has been reduced and the damage you take increased. In addition, enemies, including low-level demons, can still stagger you while in this state. Considering that this is an ultra-powerful demonic form, it's very confusing that anything could stagger you. The experience system is also similar to past games, using red orbs to purchase new skills and items. Also, you can locate hidden blue orbs and purple orbs to boost your vitality and your devil trigger meter. Secret missions are also littered throughout the environment that provide added challenge and extra orbs for completing them. While the players won't have access to bloody palettes until April, I believe, this does offer an interesting alternative. If you want to 100% the game, you're going to have to go through these secret missions, which are incredibly difficult. The levels are separated into chapters, each beginning and ending with a cutscene. Most of them do end with a boss battle, which are terrific. Players go from point A to point B while fighting enemies within contained environments within the overall world, while occasionally opening locked paths by collecting key items. The environments do have a distinct style, but some of them eventually bleed together. I guess there's just so much you can do with broken ruins and destroyed buildings, but the developers have done an effective job of creating very cool environments, especially in terms of technical quality. Speaking of looks, Devil May Cry 5 looks and sounds extraordinary. The series has always been known for having incredible music, and Devil May Cry 5 has some of the best collection of musical scores that will have you pumped for each and every fight. Graphically, the game is absolutely stunning, and this is especially seen during the game's intense cutscenes that feature eye-candy action. It was hard to find a single flaw within the visuals and sound design. The only problem was that I did encounter a few long load times, but these were far between. At this point, I was just trying to find issues, because this game is so well put together, and I needed this. Thank you, Capcom, you restored my faith in AAA games, especially after Fallout 76 and Anthem. Devil May Cry 5 builds on every single foundation that made this series such a hit. The narrative finally provides long-term fans information on hot topics, while the overall gameplay still gives that satisfying rush of action. Bringing everything together is this incredible technical achievement with incredible choreographed cutscenes, fantastic voice acting, and a soundtrack that gamers will likely download and listen on a loop over and over again. Capcom has been on a roll since last year with Resident Evil 7, Monster Hunter World, Resident Evil 2 2019, and now of course Devil May Cry 5. 2019 has been a great year for this company because they now have 2 Game of the Year contenders, Devil May Cry 5 and Resident Evil 2 2019.
How's that for road rash?